Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today's day 25 of 100 days of DevOps, which we have been looking at containerization, Docker to be specific. And yesterday we wrote our first Docker file. We containerized a node application and we ran it. So if you've not seen that video, I would advise that you see the video and then you learn how to write a Docker file. We got exposed to a lot of commands. We used environment, we used CMD, we used user working directory, we used the copy command, the copy instruction rather. We used run also. So we practically touched on quite a number of instructions, and we are going to continue in that progression. So if you are seeing my video for the first time, what we are trying to achieve here is to try and cover a lot of things on DevOps that you should know about DevOps and you should be good at. We're trying to cover it in 100 days, and we started from the foundation, which is Linux. We progressed, we wrote bash script, we moved to networking, we moved to version control, where we looked at Git and GitHub, and this is the second phase of the program, or the journey as you might call it. So where we are talking about containerization and CI/CD. So for now, we are trying to still cover containerization, and we are looking into Docker, what Docker is. I covered the Docker architecture, I covered the Docker lifecycle, and we've written our first Docker file. We ran that successfully yesterday. So it's actually been very, very interesting. And if you've been enjoying these videos so far, kindly subscribe to the channel and like the videos, and most importantly, turn on your notification bell to get more videos as soon as they are posted. I will do well to try and be consistent with the videos uploading so that we can all benefit from it. So that said, we are going to go straight into what we want to do today. It's not going to be long, it's going to be very, very short. I just want to cover two things, and the one I want to cover is entry points and CMD. Towards the end of the video yesterday, I said I was going to cover the difference between CMD and entry point. So if you as you can see here, for CMD, what it does is that it specifies default command, and for entry point, it specifies default executable. So I believe that they are different. They work similarly, but there is a little difference in it. So you can see here, the purpose of a CMD is to provide default for an executable, for an executing container. So these are like let me go to my slide. I have a slide here. So basically, CMD is used to provide default command or argument for an executing container. It's defined for flexibility, allows user to easily override the default command at runtime. So basically, for CMD, you can override the command at runtime. So I'm going to practicalize it for you in this session. Why for entry point, basically it defines a main executable or script that will always run when the container starts. So this is something that is going to be constant and not easily overridden. And most times, whenever you use whatever you define as your entry point, it's very, very, like I said, very difficult for you to override, except if you use the flag -- entry point. That's the only way you can override an entry point, whatever you put in an entry point. So that's one of the major differences between the command, the CMD, and the entry point. Basically, for CMD, you can override whatever is written there, and for entry point, you cannot easily override what is written there. And most times, you use an entry point when you have a particular executable that should always run when your container starts. So that's just the major difference. When you have something that it has to remain constant, so you make it an entry point, and then you can add other commands to it. You can add other arguments to it. So I'm going to go straight to the terminal, and I'll show us the difference. So let's do, who am I? So, and present working directory. Okay. So let's do ls. So I can see that I have one here. So I'm going to make a directory. Do I make a directory? Yeah. So let me make a directory, and let me do CMD. So let me cd into CMD, and I'm going to write a Docker file here. going to write a Docker file. So it's going to be something very, very light. So let's do from Alpine, and I'm just going to do CMD. If you followed yesterday, this should not be new to you or strange to you again. Let's say what should we do? Let's echo learning DevOps is fun. Okay, so we are writing a Docker file that will just echo learning DevOps is fun. So let's save that and let's build it. Docker build and tag it as CMD, and we build it here. So let's do that, and it should take a few seconds for that to get built. Since it's an Alpine image, shouldn't take long. Okay, so when we do Docker images, so we have our image here. It's just 8.31 MB. So let's do Docker run and our image. So once we run the image, you can see it echoed learning DevOps is fun. So because we've already specified that in our default, in our Docker file, we can see that it echoed what we have already specified. So let's see if we can actually overwrite that. So let's do Docker run CMD, and let's put overriding the command. So let's run this. Okay, I think I've seen where the error is. So let's clear it and let's go back. So I'll just do Docker run CMD and I'll pass the echo command. And what this does is that it goes into my Docker file and replaces my CMD, and it replaces it with this particular command that I've put there. So if I press enter, it should echo overriding the command. So you can see it that it's overriding the command. That's for CMD. You can actually override it by specifying another command. Once after you've typed your Docker run and then the name of your image, you pass another command afterwards. It's going to override it. So that's for CMD. Now let's go back and let's make a directory for entry point. Entry point. Well, let's cd into that directory and let's create a Docker file. I'm going to let me go back. Sorry. Let me go back and go into so I'm going to use this same Docker file, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to change the CMD to entry point instead, and then we'll see how it behaves. Okay. Docker file. And I'm just going to paste this here, and I'm going to delete this and change it to entry point. So entry point now is echo learning DevOps is fun. So I'm going to save this I'm going to save this now, and let me clear this. Let me build -t entry point, and out Dockerfile is here. So let's build it. It should also take a couple of seconds for it to get built because it's an Alpine image. So now we have our image built, so we can check our image. So we can see that we have our image entry point. So let's run it. Docker run entry point. So let's see. So we have that same output. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did before. We're going to do the same thing that we did before, and I'm just going to pass a command echo. What did I do before? Let's go back. Can't remember. Okay, so I'm going to change this to entry point, and I'm going to echo overriding the entry point. So I'm going to run this now, and we'll see how it is going to behave. So you can see that learning DevOps is fun is there, and then echo overriding the entry point is there. So it just appends it, just adds it to what is going to display. So this shows you that you cannot exactly override what is actually in the entry point, except you use that flag -- entry point. So that's the way entry point and CMD works. So if there's something that you want to remain constant, as an executable that you want to remain constant, it's better you use it as an entry point. Then you can, anyone that can be overwritten, you can append that. So let's see how we can make the two work together. Like I mentioned it yesterday, that most people use both. You'll see some Docker files that you have both the entry point and a CMD. Most times it's because when you have a command that you don't want to change, you leave it as an entry point, and then you can also still have your CMD. Those ones can be overridden. So let's go back. Let's go back. Let's make another directory. What should we call this? We can say entry CMD. Okay, so let's go to entry CMD. Okay, so let's create the Docker file and use our from, and then still Alpine, and then this time we'll use entry point. Our entry point will be echo. So we want echo to remain constant, and we'll have our CMD. We'll have our CMD as learning DevOps is fun, and do that. So we have echo as an entry point. So this will remain constant as long as this container is running. So we have echo as an entry point, and then we have CMD as an argument, an argument that you add to the echo command. So let's save this and let's build Docker build entry CMD -t and here. So should take a couple of seconds also. Okay, so let's confirm that our image was built. So we have the image here, entry CMD. So let's run Docker run entry CMD, and let's see. So we have learning DevOps is fun. It's the same thing. But now let's see if we can override it. So let's do overriding CMD. So let's see if it's going to work. So now I'm only specifying overriding CMD. So what will happen is, let me run it first, then we'll see what happens. So we can see that it's bringing overriding CMD. Now what happened was that the echo remained constant. So in front of this, remember when I wanted to override the CMD in the first instance, I had to use echo. Then I had to specify the instruction, which I was overriding the command. But in this case, because echo is already constant as an entry point, echo is already an entry point. Whatever you put after your entry CMD, it just echoes it. Regardless of what is already in your Docker file, once you put anything after your image name, it echoes it because echo is already an entry point. So that one remains constant. So I don't have to actually put echo here. Let me try and put echo. Let's see if. So if I put echo, we'll see what happens. It just prints it out again. Echo overriding CMD, because we already have echo as an entry point. So wherever you put after your image name is fixed into the CMD and not into the entry point, because entry point already contains a default. So basically the difference between CMD and entry point is that when you feel like there's something that should remain constant, you should put it as an entry point, something that doesn't change, something that you want to start. Immediately your container starts running, you want that to start automatically, you put it as an entry point. But anything you want to change, if you feel like you want to change the argument, something that can be flexible and all of that, you can use that as your CMD. So that's basically what I wanted to show to us today. I hope you've learned a thing or two. So we're going to continue in that progression tomorrow. I will see you again. Cheers.